Welcome to today's session on occupational health and hygiene, chemical hazards. Chemicals play an essential role in many industries, but without proper understanding and safety protocols, they can pose serious threats to workers. Today we'll dive into how to identify, understand, and mitigate chemical threats in the workplace. We'll cover where these substances originate, how they affect the human body, key exposure metrics, and the practical controls needed to keep everyone safe. By the end of this presentation, you'll have a clear framework to recognize chemical risks and protect yourself and your team effectively. Chemical hazards are ubiquitous, appearing in virtually every industry and even our daily lives. They generally fall into three categories based on origin. First are naturally occurring chemicals, such as mycotoxins or pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Next are intentionally added chemicals, like preservatives, nitrites, or sulfating agents used in food and processing. Finally, unintentionally added chemicals include pesticides, heavy metals like lead, arsenic, and mercury. Everyday workplace items, paints, cleaners, disinfectants, glues, and bleach contain these exact hazards, making proper management essential regardless of your work environment. Chemical hazards fall into two distinct domains: physical hazards and health hazards. Physical hazards relate to a chemical's physical properties, substances that catch fire, explode, or react violently. Examples include flammable gases, oxidizers that feed fires, reactives, and metals corroding agents. Health hazards, on the other hand, produce adverse biological effects on the human body. These range from acute toxicity and irritants like ammonia to sensitizers like formaldehyde, target organ damage from methanol, carcinogens like benzene, and chemicals that affect reproductive health. Recognizing both domains is vital to workplace safety. To simplify hazard identification, the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, or WHMIS, establishes a universal visual language. WHMIS has two primary goals: preventing health hazards and reducing workplace accidents. These recognizable symbols immediately communicate a substance's primary threat, whether it's compressed gas, flammable material, an oxidizer, acute toxicity, biohazardous infectious material, corrosive substances, or dangerously reactive chemicals. When you see these symbols on containers or storage areas, you immediately know the basic safety precautions required before handling the substance. For a chemical to cause biological harm, it must first enter the human body. There are four primary routes of entry. First is inhalation, breathing in airborne gases, vapors, or dust through the nose or mouth. Second is ingestion, often caused by dirty hands contaminating food, drinks, or tobacco. Third is absorption, where chemicals like solvents and pesticides soak directly through intact skin. Fourth is injection, occurring when a sharp object punctures the skin barrier. Understanding these routes helps us design effective protective equipment and personal hygiene habits. Focusing on inhalation, the severity of a hazard escalates dramatically as particle size decreases. Large forms like metal ingots or pellets are relatively safe to handle without respiratory gear. However, as material breaks down into flakes, powders, and ultimately fumes, the risk skyrockets. Here is the key insight. Particle size determines where a chemical settles in your respiratory tract. Larger dusts get trapped in the upper nose and throat, while microscopic fumes penetrate deep into the lungs, causing severe, permanent lung diseases and systemic poisoning. The fundamental principle of toxicology comes from Paracelsus. All substances are poisons. There is none which is not a poison. The dose differentiates a poison and a remedy. In simple terms, toxicity is the capacity of a chemical compound to produce injury, whether to the entire organism, a specific target organ like the liver, known as hepatotoxicity, or at the cellular level through cytotoxicity. Even safe substances become harmful in extreme amounts, making the total amount absorbed, the dose, the most critical factor in risk assessment. Toxicity manifests across two distinct timelines: acute and chronic. Acute toxicity results from a high dose received all at once over a short period. Effects are immediate, ranging from sudden eye irritation to organ failure or death, as seen with ammonia exposure. Chronic toxicity stems from cumulative, low-dose exposure over a long time. Effects build slowly, leading to cancers, cell mutations, or fertility issues, such as long-term formaldehyde exposure. Crucially, many substances, like carbon monoxide, can cause both acute and chronic harm. To measure hazard severity, we use LD50, the dose that proves lethal to 50% of test subjects, and maximum allowable concentration, MAC, for 8-hour workplace breathing. Lower values mean higher toxicity. Beware of the smell fallacy. Relying on your nose is dangerous. Carbon monoxide is completely odorless. Ammonia can be smelled before reaching harmful levels. However, benzene becomes toxic at 10 parts per million, but you can't smell it until it reaches 100 parts per million, meaning you are severely poisoned long before you smell it. Heavy metals pose unique, severe hazards. Arsenic, found in wood preservatives and microelectronics, causes skin lesions and cancer. Lead, present in old gasoline, batteries, and solder, leads to hypertension, anemia, and renal failure. Cadmium, from tanneries and smelting, causes kidney damage and painful bone disease. Chromium, used in dyes and paints, triggers severe dermatitis and lung cancer. Finally, mercury, found in fluorescent lamps and amalgams, causes irreversible kidney damage, memory loss, and delirium. Recognizing these specific hazards allows for targeted monitoring. Your foundational baseline for chemical safety is the Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS. Manufacturers are required to supply an MSDS with the first shipment of any hazardous material. An MSDS acts as a master manual, detailing 8 core areas: chemical ingredients, hazard identification, emergency first aid, firefighting tactics, accidental release procedures, safe handling and storage, recommended PPE, and toxicological data. Always read and consult the MSDS before beginning work with any new chemical substance. To protect workers, we applied a hierarchy of controls, ordered from most to least effective. Level 1 is elimination or reduction, removing or replacing hazardous chemicals entirely. Level 2 is engineering controls, enclosing chemical processes and applying proper ventilation. Level 3 involves administrative controls, rotating worker schedules, shifting maintenance to off hours, and practicing strict hygiene like washing hands. Finally, Level 4 focuses on basic practices like ensuring hazardous substances aren't carried home on clothing or footwear. In engineering defenses, local exhaust ventilation is critical. Look at these 2 setups. On the left is an unacceptable system. The exhaust fan pulls air across the chemical source, drawing hazardous fumes straight through the worker's breathing zone. On the right is the best system. A dedicated hood and duct sit directly over the source. Fresh makeup air enters behind the worker, while the exhaust immediately captures fumes at the point of origin, pulling them safely away from the breathing space. When engineering controls aren't enough, we deploy specific PPE tailored to the hazard profile. Standard lab coats protect against general dirt, inks, and mild chemicals without aerosol risk. Flame-resistant coats made of Nomex or cotton are mandatory when handling reactive chemicals, organic solvents, or explosives. Tyvek gowns offer high tear resistance against particulates and airborne pathogens. Finally, caps and shoe covers prevent tracking contamination outside and are essential in hygienic or biohazardous environments. If exposure occurs and you feel sick, follow this 5-step protocol. 1. Notify your supervisor immediately. 2. Identify the chemical involved. 3. Execute the specific first aid instructions from the MSDS. 4. Seek medical attention right away. 5. Thoroughly inspect your PPE before re-entering the area. Be aware that high temperatures, rapid breathing, long hours, or mixing substances accelerate poisoning. Quick, disciplined action saves lives. Stay safe, remain vigilant, and thank you for your attention.